everybody, and welcome back to the NECC Rocket League week number 7. My name is Bass from the past, joined alongside by none other than the wonderful Hyferia. And Hype, we're back once again here on the B stream this time, as we are going to get you guys through all of the action here today. I'm excited to hop into it. How are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing brilliant, mate. It's a brilliant day. It's starting to be good weather in the Netherlands finally. And, well, we've got more collegiate on the cars as well. And it's an important week. It's the closing out weeks. It's one of the final ones. And, well, you can make a last-ditch effort here.
That's pretty much how it's got to go for both of these squads here. Not because of the fact that, you know, they're trying to make their way into playoffs, but they want to solidify themselves in playoffs today. We've got King's College Gold versus Arcadia Knights Academy here in the Navigators Yellow Division. And this is going to be an interesting one because they both come into this 4-2. And it's both 4-2 through trials and tribulation, if you will. It's been up and down for the King's College side here, starting off with 2 wins and then taking a loss, 2 wins again, and then they, I believe, take a loss in their 6th week, coming into this one after a 1-3 loss versus New England College. Then you look on the other side, and Arcadia Knights, they've had just about as up and down of a season. Start off with a loss, take 3 wins in a row, take a loss, and then barely squeak out a win last week against J. Woo White in a 3-2 fashion. So these are 2 storied teams here, Hyferia. They are both very prepared for what is going to happen here today. Question is it's going to be more prepared in the end.
Well, we have games against each other as well, and at least games where they face a similar opponent. Those are incredibly similar in standings. They only differentiate by literally 1 game. So whether it's 3-2 and one team won, and you know, that kind of stuff. These teams on paper lie incredibly close, but we've seen the paper crumble before, and I wouldn't be surprised if that is another day of such shenanigans, and then that consistency comes into play, right?
100%. Consistency is king. We say it all the time here in the NECC, but as well as we also say, what are the lineups here today? So let's take a look at the guys that we've got playing on the pitch here, starting off with King's College Gold. Or maybe not. I don't think we have the time. So I think we're going to hop into our first game of this match instead. You guys will get to see the lineups on the pitch anyways here. So let's hop on into the action.
This is the exact same job. We see the lineup right here, and we do get to see them perform at it as well, instead of just kind of blank names and us having to guess at it. Okay, well, I think King's College are going to want to forget that.
That's not the best play there. It's definitely one of these things where you can both blame the defense a little bit as well as also blame the fact that that's just a
brilliant
bounce. Yeah, I mean, there's just nothing you can really say besides GG's, go next. All right, we got 4:47 left on the clock. Plenty of time for King's College to get back into this one, and I would say they need to do so. Just give them a little bit of confidence, you know?
It's one that you laugh off, it's all right, and especially with them already being back into the attack. Oh no, that's a wide open net. Zeitgeist, can he turn that in? Yes, he can. Oh no, that's slow. Shot by a Penguin. Still was unable to walk towards the goal, and that's his 2nd one now.
That's 2 goals, and both unanswered at this point here. Going to make it a little bit difficult to keep your head here in game number 1. Long series ahead of us. 4:30 left on the clock. Long game ahead of us as well. So King's College, no need to panic quite yet, but you do need to try and gain yourself at least a little bit of confidence here, as they've been diving at the ball a little bit aggressively. Those first 2 goals, a lot to do with just the exposure on defense here. And speaking of exposure on defense, Arcadia not going to budge. They seem very prepared for whatever might be fired against them there. Although this is an open net. We're going 3 open nets in a row, Hyferia. This is calamity.
I have no clue what's going on. Like, brilliant 50 was shot by a Penguin, and a great turn in there by Juicy then to follow it up as well. But it just feels like a very awkward, one of those typical first games where nobody really has any clue what the heck is going on. And both teams are trying to get it sorted out. Finding that consistency is key at this moment, and finding your way in the chaos as well. Trying to take a step back is going to be important for either side, and whether they manage, well, this is not great clear by Juicy, but they do manage to at least get it out of danger.
At least keep it away from danger, and we get to a little bit of reprieve from the scoring here. First 40 seconds of this game was back and forth, and now we move into our 2nd minute. At least have a chance to breathe here and collect ourselves, and I think for the teams here, especially King's College, that's something they really need to do. We're seeing a lot of double commits, a lot of really aggressive plays that are leaving them exposed, and while Arcadia hasn't taken advantage of all of those opportunities yet, do need to be careful here. One over-aggressive offense is going to lead to an inevitable counterattack, but maybe not if the shots go on target here. King's College find themselves an opening and tie up the game.
the resistancy, the resiliency by just the passer to stay close to the ball is beautiful, and exactly what that was needed as well for King's College. They needed somebody to chase it down, somebody who was already committed and out of the rotation, because it's one of those balls that's just too dangerous to go for if you're the second or even third man up, and that's a terrible miss on the side of Arcadia. Can they convert King's College with an infield pass for Zeitgeist? Still will stay in the vicinity to make sure it gets cleared.
Just barely cleared for now, though. It's not going to get far off the half. It's actually just going to pinch back and forth to where Juicy might even have a shot. Ooh, just a pass. Tries to get a bit fancy with a rebound there, but not quite able to put it on target. But King's College, they're putting on the pressure right now. 3 minutes to go, and it feels like they are very much in control after a shaky start. And they can be further in control with a shot like that. Penguin to put another in the back, and that has 3 unanswered in favor of Arcadia.
They're just luring them in from the start. Oh, we're 2 out down. Look at us. We're so silly. Oh my god. And now you're going to be able to steamroll us. Oh, just kidding. Slap in the face. And here a punch thereafter to follow on the elbows. Well, they're getting greasy here on the side of King's College. They're playing it very chasey, very annoying to try and deal with for Arcadia. But that also means a higher risk involved. And that's something that King's College do have to be aware of. But I think they've got that awareness going for them already. And they just need to continue what they've exactly been doing already.
At this point, they just got to keep on with the same plan. I would agree with you here. They're very much in the face of their opponents, and as long as they limit the offensive opportunities out of Arcadia here, they should take game number 1. But can't get ahead of ourselves. We've got plenty of time left in this game, as well as a breakaway play here for King's College, which not really going to turn into a breakaway play. They do get some pressure out in the corner, but that's about it. And as Zeitgeist says, time and space, they'll take it backwards. I don't know if they knew they had as much time as they did, Hyferia, because kind of panicked and just cleared out to midfield where King's College were waiting yet again. So Arcadia, you got to take this step by step right now. It feels like you guys are getting in your own head, booming the ball into open territory and allowing King's College even more pressure against you. You just got to calm down and make sure that you can send it the other way. 2 minutes to go here, and as much as Arcadia are still in this, they've got to get the plan together here, Hyferia. It just kind of feels too chaotic for my liking.
They're only in it due to 2 incredibly silly actions on the side of King's College. And King's College, they're about to make matters even worse, attacking without relenting, not holding back into Arcadia. They're struggling to breathe. They're getting choked out. Well, at some point you suffocate. Not right now. The Arcadia, they take a big gasp of air and they manage to at least clear it out into the corner. But you see King's College to pass back to stay in possession. That is beautifully done. Unfortunately, it is, unfortunately for them, it is Arcadia who run away with it.
Arcadia continuing to run away with it. They're starting to get some good offense together, but Juicy with a pre-flip in the middle of the net is going to be enough to at least stop them for now. Oh, but a demo like that is difficult. 1 minute to go here. They don't have a lot of time to waste as this one goes the other way. The shot is off target, and Arcadia will take a deep sigh of relief, but it's not going to be large enough that they can get off the half. Back to the corner where Not Lad can't do much with it. This goes in front of the net. No one able to put a shot on, but at this point, Hyferia, they're just wasting valuable time that Arcadia cannot afford.
Just pass up for it as well, trying to put in a dagger, but it gets stolen out away from him. Arcadia, they still need a goal. They need to turn about quickly, and struggling to do so. It's Juicy. That might just be the curtains closed on Arcadia.
That's another one in favor, and now King's College, they can also take a deep sigh of relief here as they just need to hold on for the rest of this game. They can even give up a goal. If this next kickoff goes awry, they still don't need to panic as there's only about a half a minute left on the clock. Plenty of time, but Arcadia, you basically need the kickoff goal and then another one if you want a shot. It does go to the corner. They do have some offense, but no 50-50 to be found. Penguin to clear it out of the half, and that might just secure them game number 1.
It really has been one of those scenarios where Arcadia have not felt lethal by any stretch of the imagination, unless you count that initial start, which, well, I don't want to count that whatsoever. That was just pure chaos, and they need to find a efficient way out of that defensive end. They're getting stuck in their heels, quickly need to loosen up.
Well, they will try their best at the end of this game here. Maybe they can find themselves at least, a counterattack. No such luck. Not able to keep the ball up here, and King's College will take game number 1 in, I'm not going to call it dominant fashion, but it felt very controlling. Once they started to understand how they wanted to play Hyferia, it definitely felt like they were in control of that game. While we were seeing a little bit of response out of Arcadia, it wasn't necessarily a full response. It just kind of felt like they were getting these opportunities, and while they were doing some decent things with it, they're never creating their own opportunities, making their own offense, forcing their opponents into awkward positions. So King's College looked like they have control after game number 1, but as we say every time, it's a long series, and that is only game number 1.
Yeah, I am a bit scared, but I actually do want to classify that first game as a dominant one. Not necessarily in scoreline, but more due to the general game view. And I do feel that King's College had a lot of control over the midfield, not allowing Arcadia out at any moment, right? At any moment was Arcadia allowed to get out easily and set up a fruitful attack to stay there consistently. It was more those one-offs. They got fortunate with a bounce and King's College missed a read or they even owned goal. Stuff like that is what allowed Arcadia to get goals. And if King's College sort that out, this is just going to be a sweep.
I would agree with you on that. I do think that this has the potential for King's College to run away with it. The only reason I say that they didn't necessarily run away with it, it was too, not sloppy. I don't think sloppy is the right word, but it was too messy for my own liking there. A couple of double commits, a couple of weird things here and there make me think that Arcadia still has the ability to get back into this series. If they start taking advantage of those gaps here and there, I think they should be able to find themselves some more offensive pressure, a more steady defense that doesn't get surprised by the counterattack. But again, these are all theoreticals, and really now it's up to Arcadia to do exactly that. And if they let King's College come into the second game with the same sort of momentum, same sort of confidence they did that first game, second half, too many, first seconds here and there. But regardless, second game going to be important. If King's College take this one, I don't see Arcadia being able to reverse sweep, but you never know. Both these teams are 4-2. They have shown the resilience through 3-2 wins before, so I have to find out and see what happens.
And that is always important. You have to find out what happens, and well, luckily we can indeed do so. It's enough speculating, enough trying to fix your mistakes in that initial game, because it is still a warm-up game. And if Arcadia did not warm up properly and Kings did, well, Kings is the smarter team here, but it does not necessarily give them a victory off the get-go, purely due to a winning game number 1. But it is important for Arcadia to get that early start, and they're already going on to the attack shot by a Penguin. Should be able to carry this out a decent moment. Indeed is. It's so much space and just a pass. That's a good shot, but Zeitgeist even better on the save.
But it's more pressure already for King's College here. Like we said, this was the issue last time for Arcadia, was getting locked into their half and allowing Kings so much time to just set themselves up. Selly going to send that one to the other side, though, and maybe they can start some offense of their own. But again, those double commits that we spoke about before really going to leave them exposed as both Selly and Zeitgeist go for the exact same ball. It's going to mean an inevitable counterattack out of King's College. What can they do with it? Just a pass. Would have loved to have made that just a shot, but no such luck. 1 minute gone here. Neither team been able to score, and after what was a hectic start to game number 1, I'm liking a little bit of slowdown here in game number 2.
But it is still Arcadia on the back foot, and that's something that needs to change. Juicy trying to extend it at least, but with a little boost in attack, he's not going to be able to do anything for his college. Dive in by just a pass. Maybe an easy carry away by Arcadia, but the good challenge right outside of the box is going to put some more scrutiny underneath Arcadia, and King's College. They're looking to break through the cracks slowly but surely, hammering away like a mason.
Slowly doing it here, but again, slow and steady usually wins the race, so I like the fact that we're seeing this little bit of back and forth right now. I do think that King's College would have loved to have seen that one to the back of the net. Ricochets off the woodwork, and no such luck for them as we go to about 3 minutes of play left here. Again, more pressure for King's College. They love doing this out of midfield, and as a big whiff comes through, 2 whiffs, 3 whiffs come through. It's an open net the other way. Arcadia can't put the shot on target, but chaos erupts out of midfield, and neither team seems to know what to do with it.
Those balls right over the top of your car are always so tough to read. You have to take off perfectly. Well, they didn't manage to get the hit, but oh my word, this is an open net. Juicy, he's of course going to bang this in. Where was the defense?
Oh, this has been the big issue so far here, is these breakaway plays. Yeah, that over-aggression out at midfield. We talk about this often. It's that hero mentality. Okay, it's been 2 minutes. Neither team's been able to score. We haven't been able to score, so I'm going to be the one to do so. I'm going to make a risky challenge out of midfield, because if it works out, we're going to have overwhelming pressure. But we've said it too many times before. The issue is when it doesn't work out. You leave yourself exposed, you give an open goal, and all of a sudden King's College will take the lead with just about half the game remaining. Arcadia are still in this one, but I'd have to agree with you, Hyferia. King definitely look in control.
Juicy 50 through, and I think that's a big part of why they're in control, is that those 50-50s on the side of King's College really are locking in Arcadia in that defensive end. And King's College, they've always got ample time to set up the 50 to see how they want to manipulate it, move all the pieces about to actually keep that 50-50 in their possession as well. That being said, Arcadia, they're 15 in the corner right now, but the one breakaway shot by a Penguin, that's a brilliant block by the Arcadia defense, even though it was all the way into the attack, but at least it relents another attack.
And they're trying their best to just hold off every single one of these offensive pushes out of King's College here. Bump like that, though, is not going to really allow them to do so. 50-50, send it right back into their half. With just underneath 2 to play, they don't really have the time to waste. Yes, they can get themselves a goal out of nowhere, but we've seen this before. Arcadia's opportunities come far and few between. And when they do get those opportunities, it's at the cost of their defense. And you can see why Arcadia get a little bit of offense, but the counterattack catches them off guard.
Said it before, the ball over the top is always so annoying, so tough to be dealing with, and if you play it right in your teammate's car, I guess you are not the one to own goal. Smart play in that regard, that you can make fun of your teammate, but realistically, you are getting made fun of by the entirety of King's College. This might be a good return, but Silly gets denied by just a pass, and any single way for them to get into this match is currently being denied by Kings.
Yeah, at this point here, it's getting a little bit difficult for Arcadia to find any room to breathe. They are trying their best to break out of their half, but these booming clears like that are, I was going to say, just giving away possession, but apparently King's College are not prepared for when possession goes away from them. First goal on the board for Arcadia.
105 kph just past it. It's an odd turn to go outwards there, and I think that's a bit of that cockiness that's coming through, right? If you continuously shoot it off the target, then at some point, well, King's College are going to say, oh, yeah, you're going to shoot this off target again. Go on, I'll be ready for it. And then all of a sudden they rip it on target. You're in trouble. So King's College, they can't get complacent. They can't start thinking that Arcadia miss anything anyway, or everything anyway, because that's not the case. And oh my word, Selly gets bumped into his own save.
That might be the most unfortunate thing I've seen so far here today. It would have been a massive goal for Arcadia just to try and give themselves a little bit of momentum, a little bit of confidence beyond anything else, because that's what you got to run with here. When you believe that you can win, your team starts diving for these balls, not necessarily as aggressively, but really with a lot more, oh no, oomph behind them. And speaking of oomph behind the shot there, Penguin slams this one into the net, but they could have just barely touched it, and this was open enough that it would have gone in anyways.
Yep. No chance to try and save that. A shot by Penguin getting it through, and King's College, they might just punch their ticket onto match point already. Arcadia, they're in a similar scenario at least. 30 seconds on the clock and 2 goals in it. They need to continuously find attacks and consistently make them work. But I feel like that's not really the case. That's not really what they've been showing, and you see it already in the composure of King's College. They are taking a step back.
And they really are. They want to make sure that they secure themselves a second game with only 10 seconds left. You can't really blame them. Arcadia, they're going to now need a reverse sweep against King's College if they want to try and take this series. And while it's possible for this team, they've had a lot of long battles before. I don't know if that's necessarily going to be a battle they want to take here today, but unfortunately, it is one that has arrived. King's College will take game number 2, and they will not let the ball drop, apparently, here. Finally, it hits the ground, and 3-1 the final scoreline.
This is not what we were expecting by any stretch of the imagination coming into this match. King's College are exceeding our expectations by a long shot. They're performing to a T exactly how they need to, and I think that is mainly due to the consistency that they've found. They exactly figured out what they need to be doing to try and counter Arcadia here, and it's looking beautiful for them.
It really does look good. I think that's the big thing here is that while game number 1 was a little bit sloppy and we weren't 100% if King's College were in control of this series, game 2 started to show that when they had that midfield presence that never really panicked, aside from the one goal that Arcadia finds where I believe it was, I think, Juicy and Net who was just the wrong way. They had overextended past that back post, were near the front one and just couldn't really get back to the ball. So it's one of these things where Arcadia are getting their moments, but they're not creating their moments, if that makes sense. The only times that they're finding offensive opportunities is when King College drops the ball. So if King's College isn't going to start giving them those opportunities, because they are becoming less and less frequent due to them getting better as the series goes on, I don't see how Arcadia can take this. So they got to go back to the drawing board at this point, Hyferia. If they can switch this one up, they absolutely have this, but they do need to switch this up.
I do love that strategy in Navigators division overall, because usually there are mistakes that you can exploit, and that's currently what they're playing at on the side of Arcadia. But it's one of those cases where you don't really make up your own game plan. you kind of rip it off and try to exploit those mistakes, as I said before. And Kings, they're simply not making enough mistakes right now to allow you through the cracks. And that is something that has to change. You've done it twice in a row now. Backs against the wall. It's time for a change around.
Indeed, it is a time for a change around here. You have to see something switch this up because otherwise, it's the end of the series here. So let's see, can Arcadia do this and can we get a game? Looks like we're having a little bit of technical difficulties here. Possibly a new server going to have to be found in a second. Or not. We'll find out in a couple of seconds here. We're just going to take a second and theorize about what is going on here. The players are giving the respect. You do have to appreciate when a player is AFK and they kind of just go, you know, it's all right. Let's start this one up.
They gave the ball away.
They did.
Kind.
Nice.
Juicy just sitting silent. 33 boost in the tank. So, yeah, it's a restart, lads. You're 30 seconds in, and just the pass was getting water. So at least they're getting out of the room.
Yeah, I'll take it. It is what it is. Gives us some more time to theorize and, you know, speak a little bit further about what we were talking about before, which is King's College look in control right now. I think that beyond compare, we do have to sort of reiterate the main fact here, which is that both of these teams are solid squads. This is not a small win for King's College here, and this is not one of these things where we expect Arcadia to come in and just get swept. The last time that Arcadia got swept, well, was last season. They have not gotten swept this season. Their only 2 losses were in Game 5. So, at this point, I have to imagine that this is going to continue here. There's no way that Arcadia go down this easily, but man, King's College making it seem like they might just be able to do so.
Something that we can't see in the statistics and in the win-loss ratio is whether they have done reverse sweeps and how many of them they have done. So maybe they're just a team that likes to, not necessarily like to play from behind, because that's always, well, yeah, no, nobody likes to play from behind. But perhaps they kind of get into that mentality of, oh, we've got nothing to lose anymore. We might as well shoot our shot, try whatever strategy we want to try and see whether we can figure it out. I do like that it brings a bit of an interesting game in that third game, but you do need to try and prevent being swept.
Yeah, that's the big thing here is you really have to just make sure that you're not getting swept. Not necessarily just because of the fact that, you know, you want to try and show yourself, but we're close to playoffs at this point, Hyferia, and as much as game differential may not seem like a big factor, it really is going to play in when seeding comes round for those playoff positions. So these teams, they have to understand that every single win is going to be incredibly meaningful. Even if you do not take the win on the series overall, just getting a couple of wins under your belt, making sure that you play to a degree that shows the rest of the pack that you're still a threatening team, that's going to be important here. So we're trying to get into our third game of this series here. Potentially the final game of the series is, like we've reiterated before, King's College currently 2-0 up on the series. So I hope we can see a game number 4 here, but again, I don't really think it's up to up to Arcadia here. It's if King's College drop the ball. If Arcadia can play up to their level, they should be able to keep this going, but King's College, at this point, they really haven't shown enough mistakes to make me think that they're going to completely drop the ball here in game number 3.
Well, they had a little while to simmer on it, and that could change things. This break in between is brilliant for Arcadia. It might break the momentum, but it could also very well not. We're back into game number 3. Arcadia still fighting for their lives and just a pass. Well, he makes it very much alive. Already a shot and already a goal.
I didn't want to say no on that one, but the unfortunate reality is that this is how game number 1 started off as well. We saw momentum immediately go back and forth and back and forth. The difference was that Arcadia were the ones to score in game number 1. King's College scoring here in game number 3 makes me think that, yeah, there might have been a break, but that's not a break in the momentum. Just a couple of seconds for them to grab some water and reset themselves.
Trouble double now, because they're in double trouble. King's College put in the second one.
Oh, come on now. That's just not even nice here. It's a boomer of a shot, and it's past 2 defenders, making 3. Zeitgeist technically almost able to get back to that one, but things have gone from bad to worse here. We are not even half a minute into this game, and already King's College have a 2-0 lead. And considering the most amount of goals that Arcadia have scored in a game has been 2, this is beyond an uphill battle. This is up mountain at this point.
This is a big part of it. A ball lingering in front of the goal. Nobody there to put their stamp on it and collect that goal for themselves. I think Arcadia... Oh, I don't even have an analysis for this. Just heinous, honestly.
I was taking a sip of my tea thinking, you know, obviously this should be easily cleared. Shot by is up for this one, and then pass comes through and pinches it with his own teammate. I mean, you know what? A goal is a goal, and that is one of them here. And it's a heck of a way for Arcadia to get themselves back into this game. 4:30 left. I was hoping that maybe the chaos had, you know, dissipated.
No,
but
okay.
as a fourth goal goes in, apparently we are just repeating game number 1.
I have no clue what's going on. A good shot here, but just the pass. I guess
Brilliant.
his redemption has been made as well, and his mistakes has been rightened. No worries about that anymore. Arcadia still unfortunate position for them is that they have to get 2 goals for themselves, but they do have 4 minutes and 15 seconds to try and do so. But my oh my, is this rough for them already as King's College. They're not letting up the pressure either.
Yeah, they are not letting up any sort of pressure at this point here. It really does feel like it's still going back and forth. And, well, King's College do have a 2-goal lead. I was going to say they might want a little bit more to fully secure this thing. Put a shot on target, lads. I believe in you. I know you can do it here. You have 3.5 minutes to do so. And you've also got Arcadia on the ropes here. Not sure why Zeitgeist just kind of stole that from their teammate, but now it's a double commit that has left them exposed on the counterattack. Juicy will try and get this one center. Just a pass will be there. And as we get down to 3.5 minutes of play, doesn't feel like the chaos is dissipated as 2 players whiff out at midfield. And I still don't know what's going on.
Oh, okay. Well, yep, he kind of whiffed it, got a touch, and then landed it for a bump. I guess it works. Brilliant play there by Zeitgeist. And, well, now faking out the play evidently as well. Shot infield shot by a Penguin. Just the pass. Trying to go slow, but still, he's still on the return there. Juicy avoiding the demo. And the shot there after also good enough to make it through. That's great.
And there we go, another goal in favor of King's College here, and things are continuing to go from bad to worse on the side of Arcadia. A double commit leaves them exposed, and while the defense can barely get back to this one, they can't get enough of a touch to put it off target. 3 minutes to play. There is absolutely enough time for Arcadia to turn this one around, but not in the condition that they're at right now. It feels like they are way too panicked. They are recognizing that a sweep is on the verge, and rather than trying to play as a team, they're playing individually. Every single player with that hero mentality we spoke about before, and it is leaving them so incredibly exposed.
You need to find anything. And I know that's very ambiguous. What is anything? But it really is true because they've scored, what, 3-4 goals in this entire series? At least 2 of those have been own goals by King's College. And, well, the rest of them haven't been properly created as well. And, well, there goes another for King's College. I think we can hear the curtain rod being used.
Unfortunately, so that the fat lady's waking up her vocals a little bit here, getting prepared. There will be no encore unless we see a miracle at this point here, because Arcadia, they don't look poor, but the unfortunate thing is it feels like they are panicking on top of panicking at this point. We talk about this a lot. It's not the individual mistakes that end up making a team, you know, fall apart. It's the compounding mistakes, the initial mistake, and then the panic that ensues after that, the other 2 panic plays that you make that just leave you so exposed. And there you can see it. That goal goes in. King's College, they see the first initial poor clear, and after that, they just strike.
The desync between them as well, not lad. Creeping up close to the play, using a little boost, then realizing, wait, I'm not needed here. Having to rotate back, but not having enough time to actually rotate towards the back post. Fully has to cut earlier, thus is out of position. And King's College break through the crack at another time. But this is a good shot by Arcadia, almost saved by Kings. But I guess there is a chance.
There's a light at the end of the tunnel here. Don't worry. They still got a little bit of coal to keep this engine a-chugging, and I believe in them to do so. It's absolutely possible. Again, the big thing is that this team not only needs confidence, they need to just take a second and breathe. Arcadia do not look bad right now, but it's the little mistakes that are separating them from Kings. So if they can play just a little bit more carefully, not leaving the goal open like that, I think they have a shot. But if we say it a lot, old habits, they die hard.
Yet again, the 50-50. Yes, it's off of kickoff, still 50-50, very much counts. And they have been impeccable on those. King's College, they've really been forcing those and manipulating them right into the hands of a teammate, and especially with Arcadia being a bit more defensive. I halted for a second to make sure that wasn't actually into the back of the net. But Arcadia are more defensive-minded, and King's College are utilizing that to a T.
100%. It really does feel like they're just more patient right now. And I do, again, I don't want to overstate how much of a chance Arcadia have here, because it is a very slim chance. 5 goals in about 2 minutes is near impossible, but it is technically possible. They just need to find these little gaps in Kings, and there's a great example of one, but don't throw the ball away. When you've got a possession like that on a breakaway, take your time. Don't necessarily shoot it at net, because you know inevitably someone from Kings will get back, and that's the panic that we've been talking about all game long. Arcadia are so desperate to find a goal that they're quite literally tripping over each other, stomping in front of each other, and cutting lanes to not allow this rotation to really work out. And oh boy, there's another good example to the backboard. Probably should have had a player center, but instead they both dive in front of the net. And as a result, the offense will end. 70 seconds to go, but Kings College, I think they've already wrapped this one up. Let's just see what music they do to play, or what music they play to set us off and end this game.
They're just getting more desperate and desperate. No housewife just yet, but it's not looking great for Arcadia at this moment, and I think we can be already very conclusive about this series and this game in total. With that, surely Kings College are going to be moving through, and that 5-2, their direct competition, they've just taken them down in a sweep. That really does tell you something for the playoffs, and then you need to keep a close eye on Kings College coming into it.
That's the big thing here, is that while you can look at the records and you can understand who are the front runners, it's the games that tell a tale here, and they have written us a novel that shows Kings College are heading in here not just as the Monarchs. They are absolutely wearing that crown on their head, as their title says. So Arcadia, you're going to have to try and run this one back in playoffs, and that's if you can find that shot, because now Kings College move on to 5-2. Arcadia go 4-3. Not to say that their playoff chances are out of hand here, Hyferia, but it's definitely going to be a lot more difficult for them to try and find themselves a path through the playoffs. And they do find a path here, a goal for the road, but the outcome will stay the same. Kings College will wrap this one up in 3.
Guess if it does come down to goal differential somehow in the tiebreak, you've got that going for you, but at this moment, I don't necessarily think that it's going to make that big of a deal. They've kind of been stumped in this final game, and that intermittent time was more favorable for Kings College than Arcadia. I guess Arcadia, they're going to get swept here by Kings College. It match that we expected to go to game number 5, and it ends in 3.
Not only ends in 3, it ends in 3 in a dominant fashion here. We were holding off on using that word after the first 2 games, but when you're up by 5 and only give up a goal for the road, basically, to end it with a 4 up, I'm going to call that pretty dominant there. Definitely a well-done performance out of Kings College here, and a very well-deserved victory for them, which, like we said, this is going to propel them into the playoffs here. Navigators, we've said this pretty much the entire season, has been very competitive. There are teams here who could just shock you on any given day, but Arcadia at this point, I think they're the ones who have been shocked. Kings College come out of nowhere and take a dominant victory.
Yeah, 3-0 is something that was so far out of our expectation. I didn't even really think of it as a viable option, purely because if you crisscross those matches that they have played against similar teams, it has been incredibly close. So maybe there's just something on their team of Arcadia that's not meshing well, or maybe one of them had an off day and that is trickling into the rest of them. Either way, they're going to want to forget about this week.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that one here. Maybe we'll see them with a different roster next time. They got 5 on there, and I know that Swim nor Low Shafe were able to play today. So we'll have to figure it out. Maybe Arcadia are saving a couple of their hidden tricks up their sleeve for playoffs here. But we're not going to hide anything from you folks here today. We've still got more matches on the B stream here. And, well, speaking of JWoo, a team that we said, played both of these squads, they're up next. It's going to be Johnson Wales University in our Emergence Yellow Division going up against UMass Amherst White. So you're not going to want to miss it. Stay tuned. Quick little break, but when we return, our second game of the day here on the NECCB stream. We'll be right back. everybody, and welcome back to the NECC Rocket League week number 7 here on the BE stream. My name is Basson Pass, joined alongside by none other than Hyferia. And Hype, we are here once again in what I believe is the final week of regulations here. So this is an interesting one. We already saw it. There was a pretty big battle between our last two teams, both 4-3 going into it, or excuse me, 4-2. One exited 4-3, the other one 5-2. And in this one, it's a little bit different. Yes, we do have a team entering in at 4-2. The University of Massachusetts Amherst here is going to be walking in at 4-2. But they're walking in against not just a big dog, they're walking up against a big lion here. It is JWU Yellow, an undefeated team here in the Emergence Yellow division, meaning this is going to be an end-all be-all test for Amherst.
It's one of those cases where you have to show up, and going into those playoffs, I think Amherst are pretty secure of that already. But what a way it would be to take down JWU, the top dog. They're barking at everybody and biting at the same time. So this is the time that you snatch at their neck and try and overthrow them right here, right now. But you do see the matches that they played against similar teams. Dalhousie Black, for example. Well, Amherst lost 1-3 against it, and last week JWU won in game number 5. So this actually might be a close match.
It could indeed be a close match, especially considering when you look at the more recent matches here, it's a little bit of a different story. The last 2 wins that Amherst have taken have both been sweeps. Last week against Army West Point, and the week previous to that against Springfield College. And while that might not seem like a pretty big difference, it's because of the fact that JWU didn't walk by those teams unscathed. They took a win against Springfield as well. Obviously, they're undefeated, but they did it in 3-1, not 3-0. And against Army West Point, they went all the way to game 5. So, yes, it was at the beginning of the season for both of those matchups, quite literally the first 2 matchups that JWU had on the season, but it does seem like Amherst are coming into this one with a lot of momentum on their side. But is it going to be enough momentum to stifle this entire JWU Yellow team? Well, we're going to have to find out. But what else we can find out is the rosters here today. So let's take a look over at the Johnson & Wales University and see who they are going to be running with here today. Or at least I would like to think so, unless we might just might be getting into this first game here. Indeed we are. We're going to have to run straight into it. We don't have time. So let's just get into this one, and then we'll go from there.
I do like this, to just see the squads on the pitch directly off the get-go. JWU in the yellow, as you expect, in UMass. They're residing in the blue side, and that's already a brilliant redirect by Spoots. Very simply on the ground, but it's still a very solid shot.
Now, there we go. Stoop's going to find their first goal here, and it's off the pass from Wi-Fi. It's a nice little 1-2 combo here, and it's a heck of a way for JWU to get themselves onto this, as we've got 4:46 left on the clock. See if maybe UMass can find a quick response. We've seen chaos at the beginning of these games, so I wouldn't be surprised if this one goes back and forth as well. Oh, yeah. Almost already.
It's getting close, JWU. One big breakaway, though, and that's all of a sudden sending them in a 1v3 scenario. Purcell's missing out on the boost. That's not necessarily what he was opting for. It's what he's gonna have to settle for. Spoots on the backboard. Maybe trying to link up with his teammate all the way on the other end of the pitch, but courier service not gonna be cheap. Wi-Fi finally gets a bit of reprieve on the side of JWU.
Oh, a little bit of reprieve, but for how long here, as Stoops is going to try and take this one the other way. Pretty sure that Stoops has changed up their name in a way that makes almost less sense than the name Stoops in the first place. 2 P's and Spoots is, what?
Boots. He's pushing P, I guess. A little, one too many times in his typing. I don't know.
Pushing P too many times. You know, honestly, that's the only explanation he can get. Hopefully, one day we get an interview with him. We can ask him what the difference was there. And if his answer, I was pushing P, I don't really have another answer for him at this point here. Let's see if UMass... maybe.
if he says in an interview, bro, I was pushing P, that's a W. You've won my heart over that point.
It's technically a P, but yes, you are correct at this point here. 3.5 minutes to go at this point. UMass would
that's a W.
A dub. Yeah, that's one instead. What on earth, Stoops?
And next to the W also, whatever button it is to clip, that is a brilliant one by Spoots or Stoops, or whichever way you want to call them. Purcell with the whip up at JWU, asserting their dominance early on, or at least showing that they're the top dogs and they're not to be messed with, and they might tally on another write-off of kickoff. It's Discord Dank theme to be erased off the face of the earth, but Nick is able to clear up the defense.
Barely able to clear it up here, though. We're continuing to go back and forth. Boomer ball is becoming incredibly prevalent here as this one just goes end-to-end right now. It does seem like UMass are starting to get themselves at least a little bit more resistance to this JWU offense here, but haven't really been able to put on any prevalent shots. This one goes to the ceiling, and there will be no follow-up as it's boomed off the half. Nick will be there out of midfield to at least keep it on the JWoo side, but look at how there is no follow-up. Right now, JWoo looking very in control of this game. They seem patient, and they're able to strike when it counts. That's the first time they've really missed the mark when it comes to their offense, but it's not even going to be the end of it there. Going to the halfway point here in game number 1, and as much as UMass are looking like they have more resistance to this offense, they're not finding any offense of their own.
The thing that already stands out in this match is the connection that JWoo have gotten. They are able to link up and pass it along the pitch and perfectly receive it in their open arms as well. So JWoo in that regard are doing a brilliant job, but they just need to actually crack the seal another time to make their defense a little bit more loose and give themselves a little bit more reprieve here and more breathing room, whatever. Wi-Fi with a flip reset, not going to get enough lift on it though.
Would have been something special there. A heck of a way to really solidify themselves here in game number 1, but they might just be able to on the follow-up. No such luck as JWoo missed the mark and put it into the backboard yet again. 150 left on the clock. Plenty of time for UMass actually to come back into this one, but not if they concede a goal here. Nick just barely able to get back to this one. What about the follow-up? Soups to put another on target. Dank to keep it out, but almost to force Nick into an own goal. That one barely off the mark and off the backboard there. And as we go to just about 90 seconds of play, UMass starting to feel the pressure. These little mistakes here and there have not gotten punished yet, but they cannot afford to concede another goal right now. And oh boy, they almost do so.
Norbeast getting it cleared away, but not properly just yet. Actually, JWoo, they have nobody on the prowl. They'll be back in the bushes defending their own homeland. They managed to do so quite easily, ripping it away. Purcell's perhaps even going into the center, but it's not going to be facilitated by UMass. They're actually moving down the other end. An uncomfortable double commit. They're bumping each other. They still manage to figure it out. I don't know how, but JWoo, they managed to link up yet again. UMass, the ball at the edge of the box. Nobody there to rip a shot, and they're more just stalling the inevitable, or what should be the inevitable, and that is the shot.
Unfortunately, right now, it kind of feels like UMass, they're succumbing to the chaos that is their opponents. Because I was going to say, JWoo not looking nearly as sturdy, but unfortunately, neither is the offense. They finally find a huge break, and that's enough to find their first goal.
Well, that's exactly what you need. It doesn't matter how you get it, as long as you do get it. And JWoo, unfortunately, lit up for a second. They're going to get lit up now. UMass, they're going to put them under fire. Heavy scrutiny will be arriving here for JWoo. Actually, no, Wi-Fi gets all the time in the air that he needs to pass it along to his teammate. Purcell off to the backboard. Stoops with a dink into the corner. Let's call it that.
Yeah, we'll call it that for now here. And what we're about to call is game number 1, 30 seconds away from deciding a victor here. And at this point, it's looking like it's going to be JWoo yellow, as they've been able to not only hold on to this game, but really put on the pressure when it counts. Maybe they can also put on a goal when it counts here. This one, a floater into the back of the net. It's an awkward touch from Wi-Fi, and that's what makes the defense have to second-guess themselves, as neither one of them gets up to it.
Purcell's banging it to the backboard there, kind of indicates, oh yeah, no, I'm actually going to shoot this one. But you have to think about it for a second, realize, oh wait, that's going off target, and at that point you also have to make advances towards reading the play already. Unfortunately, they're too late. That's this game dead and buried. 6 feet deep is UMass in this only game number 1. And game number 1, we've said it plenty of time before, it doesn't really say anything about the entirety of the match, but it does now show that JWoo, they can link up properly.
That's the big thing here, is it's starting to show that JWoo, they have a little bit more cohesion as a team, and I think that's really what helped them there in game number 1, versus Amherst, who had a couple of good plays here and there, but it never really felt all too consistent. It felt like they had some really big moments, and their potential is there, but putting those puzzle pieces together, that's a little bit of a different story. And now, you've unfortunately done something which I don't think is going to benefit you. You've given Johnson and Wales confidence, and as a team that's undefeated, they know how to run with that confidence. So, game number 1 could be a pivotal one, but if game number 2 goes back in favor of Amherst, I can take a deep breath of relief, and I think so can the team, as they will know this will be a back-and-forth series.
Well, there, got up the thrusters and put Pepper where it might not belong. JWoo, they're looking solid, but UMass, and now it's their turn to strike. And let's say trading of blows, it would be. Well, first, UMass actually have to make it truth. JWoo, they're trying to break out of the defensive end. UMass doing a good job of looking at it. Double tap, almost imminent, but missed out, and that leaves the defense vulnerable. Actually, on the side of JWoo, the bump in net.
I didn't even see the bump in net. I gotta watch this one back here. So Nor comes down, so is Nick. They're both there, and oh my word, just clears them out of the way. That's a heck of a way to get yourself on the board. It's a heck of a way to take the lead as well. It may be early in the game, but it doesn't matter. You've stifled the momentum of Jwoo. Now let's see if you can turn that momentum in your favor instead.
It's one of those cases where this is what it takes to try and take down Jwoo. You have to have three players all committed, but not overcommitted, and they have faith in each other. They will be able to rip off the shot as the demo lands on the UMass side as well. They managed to clear it up and put the Fallen away quickly, make sure that they got that spot covered. Shot coming through, but cleared out by Stoops. They have to look for a way down the other end, but UMass, this is a stark difference between game number 1 and this.
Oh, the shots they're putting on target as well, rather powerful here. And with only about a minute gone, we're starting to see that Jwoo, they're not going to walk away from this one as unscathed as before. Very surprised if they're even able to walk away with this one without a couple more goals in their favor, because UMass are just looking so efficient with their offense, especially with the 1v1 here. But Dank doesn't have any boost in their tank, so they can't really do much with it. So I find the backboard should be able to buy some space for the team and maybe give them some time to try and set up a counterattack. Such luck. Norbeaster going to send this one right back into the half. And as we've got 3.5 minutes to go here, UMass completely in control. Uh-oh, but maybe a bit too overplaying their hand. They go all the way into offense and leave their defense exposed. The tie ball game here for Johnson and Wales.
That's oof and a half. And, well, that's also directly the difference between creeping up and making sure that it's still secure on the back end, and between keeping it covered. They did not cover the long distance clear over the top with either a player who's far back or a player that's challenging the ball early. It's going to allow Jwoo a way through, and that's another avenue. Jwoo, they will always find a way, it seems like, as they're looking for another one right here, right now. They're concocting one right on the spot. UMass missing out and almost double tapping it into the back of their own net. Be careful now, UMass. You can't let Jwoo get away with an own goal.
I do like the fact that we didn't see Jwoo immediately find themselves a follow-up shot, because they don't want to do the same thing as their opponents. They recognize counterattacks are going to be prevalent here, and if you don't have a defense that is prepared for the inevitable, well, you're going to get scored on. So halfway through this game, Jwoo starting to play this one a little bit more patiently than the first game here. They're playing defensively, waiting for their opponents to play into their hand, and then trying to go as quickly as they can into the other half of the pitch. Not working out too well for them here, though, as Norbeaster is going to be able to get this one out to midfield. That's a double commit, though, so Jwoo should have some time and space, but you got to go for the ball. Wi-Fi, you have 2 players back, and as much as I will compliment your passive play, maybe don't get too passive. You still need a front man to run this offense.
We've got a front man in position now, Stoops, and trying to turn it in, but there's Purcell to try and take over, and, well, not even try, will take over. Shot from the angle. I'm going to slice enough, pass off mid. Wi-Fi way too close and has to redeem himself by passing it all the way across the pitch and trailing it down there. Recovery of the ceiling very nicely, but still not good enough, and it's going to have to take a step back, gather some boost again, and prepare for the UMass offense that is on the prowl. That is right now across the box. Wi-Fi initially committed, but it's going to be on the second turnaround that he still not gets it in. That puts them under heavy pressure.
It does kind of feel like right now, Jwoo, as much as they're playing well, they're double committing far too often, or diving at balls just for the sake of diving at them. They're recognizing that UMass are feeling comfortable, so what do you do to try and make them uncomfortable? Play like a nuisance. Get in their face. Don't give them the room to breathe. The issue is, if you're going to do that, you need to make a connection with the ball, because as Purcell goes up for that one, just to try and prevent a shot, inevitably leaves the rest of the defense completely exposed, and compounding issues are what have left now UMass in a great position to possibly strike. Second touch off the backboard. Where is the follow-up? Cannot be found. And Jwoo Yellow will wipe the sweat off their brow for at least a second. But can they find response as they move into offense?
Wi-Fi this time getting aggressive. Well, Stoops to take over. Yet again going down the left flank, taking a closer inspection to clear away. Happening. Wi-Fi has an easy clear deep into the opposing half. Purcell, that's an incredibly ambitious double commit. Jwoo, it's all of a sudden Stoops in a very uncomfortable position because his teammate double committed, and in a way that you would not expect in a 1-1 scenario. Stoops now across the pitch into oh no, actually it was Purcell's into Stoops. Excuse me, but it does not turn into any.
Doesn't turn into anything. Ooh, but maybe that could turn into something. Stoops almost own goaling, barely getting bailed out by Wi-Fi. But this could be the end of the game. Persos has an open net, but they don't go for it. A huge double commit from UMass left them so exposed, but no one on JWU recognized the opportunity. So now they could lose this ball game due to a counterattack out of UMass. 10 seconds to go in. Wait a minute, this is an open net. Wi-Fi's just got to put it on target, but they will not. Misreads the bounce off the backboard, and JWU still may have a chance here. This one drops low, but it drops to the ground, and we go to overtime.
Ooh, 2 chances going begging, and now UMass. Okay, it's a fake from JWU. I got scared for a little second, and then might have just taken the victory right then and there. But UMass, this is a must-win scenario. They have to pull through, and JWU, well, they're a very strong force to be dealing with, especially on that defensive end. Barely making any mistakes. A bounce awkward for Discord Dank team. It does get the clear all the way into the right pocket. Stoops still staying close. That might just be in his own net. Oh my word. So many scenarios where it's incredibly stressful for them.
Stoops, I'm going to give you a quick piece of advice, my friend. If you want to not have your heart fail on you at age 60, stop taking the ball across your own net. That's the second or third time we've seen them do that in this game alone. And while it hasn't gone punished yet, that's the definition of insanity. Expecting the same result or different result after doing the same thing over and over again. And this is a different result altogether. UMass will find themselves the win.
Nobody there for the challenge. 2 players driving up to the backboard and Stoops just sitting in the net. Oh, it's a 3-for-1 deal. And of course, Discord takes that 3-for-1 deal. It's a brilliant one. And UMass, they tie it right back up in the second game. They had to. It was a position that they had to assume, and they did so. They delivered on their promises.
They 100% did. Not only did they deliver, but they also did so in a way that I think is a lot more, I'd say, justified than what was that first game. Because game number 1, Amherst were looking like they were a solid team, but the issue is that they didn't necessarily put all the pieces together. Like we said, the cohesion of the team looked a little bit lackluster. So as they get into game number 3 here, they very much look like a solid unit right now. The trio is working very efficiently, so it could lead to a victory for them overall. But this game, this is going to be a pivotal one. Winner of this moves on a series point.
And generates so much confidence with that as well. I think that's one of the most important parts. Something we've mentioned today as well is I've got no confidence in the defense here, but Jay, what happened? I think they bumped into each other, didn't they? Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. I'm glad you pointed that out, because I'll be honest, I looked down at my notes for about a half a second, looked back up, and you just kind of heard you just complete disbelief as you were astonished by whatever was going on.
That's great.
Yeah, I don't really blame you. Now that I get to look back at it, I'm a bit surprised that that's how this one opens up. I will be even more surprised if this is how the second goal comes through, though, because JWU right now, from what was a very confident defense to no defense at all, they are sending the house on offense.
And this just shows why confidence is so important. They are faced with slight downturn on the side of JWU, and they seem to lose it for at least a second. Usually it does come back slowly but surely. You actually start playing to your abilities, and you start playing to your potential as well. But UMass, they're currently utilizing this perfectly. JWU, they need to find that same rotation. I feel like they're not linking up as much anymore as Persos does bang it forward. This could be a demo, but he decides to cut in. Feels still a shot coming through, but Discord clears it out.
Just barely able to clear this one out, but not able to get it off the half here as Discord sends it straight out to Stoops, who's waiting at midfield. That's 2 players committing, though. This is almost an open net. Wi-Fi barely able to get back, but again, this is the issue right now for JWU. They are diving so aggressively at these balls out of midfield that it's leaving their defense completely exposed, and Norbeaster, for the second time this game, will find an opening.
That is beautifully done by UMass yet again, Norbeast. It might seem like a simple shot, but it's actually a lot more intricate than it might seem to read it off the backboard like that. And even if it's an open net, greatly done by UMass. Yet again, exploiting the mistakes by JWU. As soon as they leave a gap, UMass, they will sneak through like a little salamander or an octopus. They are known to squeeze in tight spaces. With JWU, they are going to clench up as well.
Stoops, you're gonna... Dude, forget you having heart palpitations at 60. I'm about to have one here in the booth as he continues to take this across his own net. He almost takes it into the other net as well. But again, JWU, I don't think they're recognizing recognizing how little time they actually have here on defense. They're playing this one patiently as if it were the first half of game number 2, but you can't play patiently. I'll be blunt with you right now. You're getting beat by your opponents because they are faster than you. JWoo may have more cohesion as a team, but look at that. Wi-Fi tries to take a second, and before you can blink, Norbeaster is on top of them to dispossess the players. So right now, UMass look like a much quicker team. They are setting the pace of play right now and dictating how these teams rotate around the pitch. So for JWoo, instead of trying to get patient, trying to give them the space, get in their face. Don't allow them to play this comfortably. Don't allow them to set the tone, because if you let them set the tone for this entire game, they'll do the same thing in game 4, and they'll wrap up this series and end your undefeated streak, especially with shots like that. Dank off the post to put in a third unanswered goal here for Amherst.
Discord Dankthie making an entire symphony out of this one. It's just yet again another case of, it looks simple, a lot harder to actually pull off, to move from the opposite end of the ball, have the momentum going down the other end, and still being able to angle your car backwards. Well, it's time for JWoo to angle their car backwards as well to propel them forward into this game. Again, 3-0 down, but it's just across halftime, so technically still possible. But JWoo, they are playing an entirely different game than that first one. Also partly due to UMass actually stepping up and not allowing JWoo to come away with as much as they were. So I think UMass, they lost a little bit of respect, but JWoo will force it back a little bit.
There we go. You got to respect them for at least a second here as they do find themselves their first goal. It is off of a basically triple commit on the back end there, but you know what? It shows they are vulnerable. The gods can still bleed a little bit here, and maybe now you can try and take them down altogether, because with 2 minutes to go here, it is absolutely possible for JWoo to turn this one around, especially if they start to get some more offensive pressure. This one immediately going into the UMass side, and a demo like that's going to leave them exposed. Yes, Nick will get it off the half, but he's not going to get it much further than that. Norbeaster, though, he will indeed get it not only off the half, but into the final third. As JWoo, stop doing this again! Wi-Fi takes it across the net. I don't know how many times I gotta say it, but if you want to win this, you cannot give them those chances.
JWoo, they always for breakfast they bungee jump. It's as simple as that. They need that extra bit of adrenaline in their life, and they always got to make it risky. Well, this is risky for UMass. JWoo trying to shrink through the cracks, but it's Nick who can pick the ball back up, and a long shot that will go all the way down the other end, trickle on in, and JWoo, they're in an unrecoverable position almost.
Nick was tired of giving everybody else the goals. He said, I've had enough assists. It's time for me to get one on the board. And now at this point, it's everybody on the board here for Amherst White, because this is the big issue, is that we said game number 1, it didn't really look like Amherst were playing as a team. It looked like a lot of individual players where JWoo were just working well as a unit. Yeah, this game, they've shown they can do that individually. They can do it as a unit. They can do it all in between. Amherst have come to life, and I mean all 3 individuals have really done so here. Risen like a phoenix, but now can they avoid crumbling back to ashes? 70 seconds to go, and as much as they have secured this game, now comes the tough part. They got to finish off JWoo in game number 4. This is an undefeated JWoo, I might add. And, oh boy, I don't think we can overstate how difficult this final game will be for Amherst.
It's getting tougher and tougher for JWoo as well. Maybe it's one of those cases where they try and go for a different roster, or trying to go for different strategies because they've already got the top spot secured, or, well, they just are secure playoffs 100%. That is something we can guarantee, but this is also the capability of JWoo putting themselves back into the match. I thought it was over already, but I guess it's not.
Technically not over yet. You are correct, and with goals like this being scored, it's absolutely possible for them to find a comeback, but don't have a lot of time to do so. 40 seconds to go here. Otherwise, they'll have to take 2 games in a row against a UMass team that is hotter than the sun. Kickoff like that is not going to slow them down whatsoever here. Purcell's is just going to try and bang this out to midfield and try and get it to his teammate, but as his teammate is demoed and taken off the pitch, it's going to make it all the more difficult for them to even break out of their half. 30 seconds to go here, not even left on the clock, and as much as maybe JWoo can get one for the road, I think unfortunately their ability to turn this one around entirely has gone out the window.
Perhaps if they get a goal right here, right now, and a good kickoff, there's some chance, some form of hope, but that is slowly trickling away as JWoo, it seeps out of their hand, and UMass, they will celebrate in glorious ways. Okay, UMass getting close to another one. Added insult to injury.
Okay, all right. right, UMass, you're not quite done. Talk about don't kick them while they're down. You guys don't seem to care. You'll just give them a quick another jab in the shins while they're there. So I appreciate that. You know, got to keep it coming, if you will, here. And I think UMass Amherst, they're going to do exactly that. They have not shown us the most out of this team yet because, again, as much as they do look good there in game number 3, a lot of that was solo plays. A lot of that was instantaneous team plays that just kind of popped out of nowhere. I want to see them come in with team plays like that. I want to see them use all 3 of their players and really run that offense in an efficient way. And if they can do so, they'll wrap up this series and spoil JWoo's undefeated season. But I don't think Johnson and Wales are going to go down that easily. These Dragons will roar. They will breathe fire and flames all throughout Game 4. So can UMass find an extinguisher and put them out?
Only you have to. Right here, right now. This is do or die for JWoo, and especially for UMass. They're coming into this 4-2, and they might just be a 1-0 in the game. That is a brilliant read yet again by Normies in putting UMass up by 1.
Okay, we were asking for team plays. This is brilliant. Nick sees a player in net, bangs it off the backboard, knows that Norbeast is there, and immediately gets a follow-up. Most of the time we say, okay, they put the shot off target. Nah, that was intentional. He absolutely knew what he was doing there. And UMass, they know what they're doing in this series. 30 seconds into Game 4, they already have the lead, and JWoo, now comes that uphill climb. I'm hoping you guys brought your ice picks.
It just seems that JWoo, their pace that they're setting for themselves is shooting themselves in the foot because they're running in each other's ways. They're expecting each other to be way quicker than one actually can be, or at least when you want to maintain a good position. And where is the entirety of the attack? You go quick, but there's nobody there to try and follow it up, and that's something that JWoo have got to change around. They need to actually commit into the attack and not expect UMass to just score it in themselves, because obviously they're not going to do that. Let's go.
At this point...
Yep.
Wait, what?
Terrible bounce here. Look at this.
This is the unluckiest thing I've ever seen.
Bang.
Are you... What?
Yep.
All right.
Regame.
A goal's a goal, and they're back in.
That's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes in Rocket League. Sometimes you get a good 50 and you manage to get back into the game, even though it might not necessarily be deserved. But I certainly would like a Game 5 number. I would like to have the number of Game 5 so I can call it up and make it happen. But JWoo, it's up to them.
Really is up to them at this point here. I don't think that Amherst are going to give them an opening. They would love to close this out right here, right now, and they will try their best to do so, but to find a lot of resistance along the way. JWoo putting on shots like that are going to make this a rather difficult battle as we are just getting started here in game number 4.
Oh, they're getting shaky. That is not a great look, the double commit, and especially with the clear going absolutely nowhere. UMass, they wish they would have done something else, made a different decision. But you commit, and you are going to have to accept the consequences. That's JWoo up by 1 now. And that could even be 2 personals flying through the sky back into the centers. Stoops got the knife, but Norbeast all the way into the corner. Wi-Fi yet again going across the goal like it's nobody's business.
They're not quite able to find themselves any sort of or any punishment there yet. Eventually, I feel like UMass are going to start to recognize that they can do that, or maybe they'll recognize another way through offense here because they are getting on the pressure. Dank by themselves now has to try and relieve a little bit of that as they're kept in the corner. 250s in a row, though. Apparently, Dank's been hitting the gym. He's bigger than everybody else here on this pitch. Let's see if he can do it again. He's actually going to fake out Stoops instead. Doesn't even go for the challenge, and finally, he will get beat out of midfield. Wi-Fi will win against him here. And oh boy, Nick taking a page out of the JWoo book as he just dribbles that one in front of the net here. JWoo putting on the pressure, and UMass don't seem to be too comfortable with it. We're halfway through game number 4, and this one looking near unrecognizable in comparison to game number 3.
This is not something I'd like to recognize. Wi-Fi 3 miles out of the rotation and arriving way too late to the dinner party. Everything is already eaten or has turned cold at UMass. Oh, they would like to keep it cold for JWoo and warm themselves up. JWoo, they are moving into the attack, looking solid again. I feel like the individual prowess is something that we can't skirt around on the side of JWoo. They have it. They just need to exert it properly time and time again. But UMass, they're doing a great job as a team to shut it down. This long ball will just go on in. Discord Dank theme not racing back in time.
I think we're starting to see a little bit of an issue here is that we're seeing all of Johnson and Wales pop on off. Like you said, individually, they're starting to pull up the heat. And And meanwhile, on the other side, they're not expecting it. UMass Amherst have gotten so comfortable with how Jwoo played that now they're starting to pop off, and they're kind of just getting surprised. They're looking every which way and finding another player who is all but too prepared to be able to not only stop you on offense, but to turn it the other way and immediately punish you on the counterattack. Maybe, though, they can get themselves back into it. A goal like that would have been fantastic, but as is saved by the defense, Jwoo are showing this is a different team than before. They are ready for whatever UMass might throw at them.
They're not double committing on the defense anymore. You see that defensive iteration by them, and it's pulled off to perfection, not actually doubling anytime. As soon as they would have doubled once, that would have been a goal for UMass. But yet again, Jwoo, they're back to just not making any mistakes. UMass, they need to force them now. Nick's trying to do so, dribbling along the pitch, but it's Stoops with a good chance. Double commit by Jwoo, but the 50 is good and will land all the way down the other end. Stoops finds a pocket of space. That Spoots and Stoops is throwing me off big time.
I don't really blame you here. Usually we'll tell players, hey, if your name's not similar to your original one, we're gonna make you change it. I didn't think to ask Stoops to change his name just because it was so similar, but now I'm realizing it's too similar. I don't know who he is, and honestly, I think he's lost himself in the sauce as well. He's playing out of his mind. Shots like this are becoming commonplace for the star-studded striker, and maybe he can do it again here. No, not quite. Just barely off the mark, but with 40 seconds to go, I don't think it's gonna make much of a difference. UMass Amherst, they're gonna have to try and get this one done in game number 5, unless they can find a miracle here in game number 4.
Actually, the miss by Stoops might have helped them along their path because it wastes so much seconds off the clock. You see UMass still struggling to gather a proper positioning to take down Jwoo, and this could be one. Discord Dank team trying to fake it out, but they won't bite. They've been reeled in before. Norbeast back into the center. Nick, decent pass, but is there anybody there? Discord Dank team, it's a 50. Oh, more than that, it won't be. And we are gonna have game number 5 here.
Ooh, game number 5, and in a very unexpected way as well. I was hoping Jwoo would turn it up here and take game number 4, but they did so much more overwhelming than previously. Their offense looks like it has found that fire underneath them and has ignited a flame that will keep them going for the rest of this series. But can they close it out and avoid a upset here in week number 7? Again, it's not to say that their opponents are a weak team. It's just Jwoo are undefeated. Johnson and Wales have yet to take a loss this season. And yes, they've gotten close. Multiple Game 5 victories for them. But can they avoid another game? Can they avoid a Game 5 loss instead? Only time will tell here, but I'm excited for this one, Hyferia.
The pressure is on Jwoo. They have to prevent from getting upset because the underdog is very clearly UMass. I don't think there's a way around it when you're 6-0, perhaps 7-0 after this against 4-2, albeit not that big of an underdog. You do have to stay composed, and Jwoo, they do show some mistakes, and you're gonna have to exploit that right here, right now. But there's 5 minutes on the clock, and it's game number 5 as well. It's do or die.
Let's see if someone starts off with a goal, though. We've seen a lot of volatility with early shots on target and early offensive explosions. Speaking of explosions, though, a demo in front of the net was going to leave Jwoo exposed, but no one prepared for the pinch across the net. UMass find themselves an early opportunity, but just too much power will not allow them a shot on target. It may not even allow them an offense. All 3 players in an awkward position there as they just try to keep it on the Jwoo half. Instead, Stoops, he will try and stifle that altogether. 30 seconds gone here, and we could see the opening goal, but not if the miss is there. Not from Purcell's, though. The fake up high and the blow down low will find themselves the first goal of this game.
This is exactly what they need, Jwoo. The aggression, because Stoops hadn't even landed yet, and they already went in for the shot. Purcell's, that's exactly what you need to see from them. 30 seconds in, it sets the tone of UMass. They're going to have to play from behind. It's all right. You have plenty of time, but don't make it 2 now. Jwoo getting awfully close to another goal, but UMass struggling to break out. They're not out of the woods just yet. That being said, it's a rainforest growing around them. Jwoo, they're cranking up the pressure.
Oh, you got to be careful right now. It does feel like as much as Jwoo are putting on the pressure, they are also, oh my word, leaving themselves exposed for a counterattack. Purcell's King diving in as the 3rd man in the final third of UMass. So it's very clear. Jwoo are going to play this one aggressive. They want to make UMass uncomfortable to the point where they just take this game by storm. But double commits like that are what left them vulnerable the first time. And it's what leaves them vulnerable this time. Norby sees an opening and they take advantage.
What happened? Oh, Wi-Fi not turning inwards and then also side flipping. I guess that's the pressure they kind of put on themselves by trying to be that quick every single time. sometimes your dead zone is not in favor of going that quick, and you do side flip UMass off of kickoff. That would have landed on target Wi-Fi. Taking a wide swing. Purcell's running right in his way, and oh, indeed, because that is just not a great commit.
I'm just getting nervous for them right now because this is the issue. We said this before. This is, in my opinion, lost games 2 and 3 for JWoo here. They just get too fast for their own good. We see this a lot in North America. It's a lot of why FaZe lose their matches in RLCS is because they start whipping it around the pitch at Mach 7 speeds when they can't even keep up with the action in Mach 5 speeds. So they've got to be very careful right now. It feels like Johnson and Wales, as much as they are not out of control right now, they are scarily close. The wheel is shaking, and one wrong turn is going to spin them out and take them out of this ball game.
The problem with trying to go fast every single turn as well is that not only are you not going to be able to keep up, but your opponent can adapt to it. And if they realize, oh, they're just going quick, we'll wait a little bit more. Or we try and whip it up the pitch even quicker. We can do so, but that's a brilliant 50. That's going to land on in UMass. They know exactly how to manipulate that.
I hate to say it, but look at that. It's another double commit every time that we're seeing JWoo get scored on right now. It is quite literally at the hands of a double commit. The first play there, Wi-Fi, yeah, probably should have made the save, but the only reason they had to make the save in the first place is because their teammates double committed in front of the net. And speaking of in front of the net, UMass find themselves a dribbler that almost secures themselves the first half of this ball game. But another double commit out of JWoo will secure them almost nothing here. They have got to be careful. Oh my word! Everyone should be careful. JWoo, golden opportunity, and they let it go to bronze.
Sometimes the double commit by JWoo is not even necessarily double commit. It's more of a double park. They reside in 2 spots, but one of them doesn't even really do anything and is just completely out of position. A weak shot, easily going to be cleared out by UMass. JWoo are struggling to set up another attack. Wi-Fi not getting the bounce that he was looking for, and JWoo, they're right back onto the defensive end where UMass, they will try and exploit it, but JWoo, they're way too aggressive for my liking right now.
I'd have to agree with you. Now that you have said that little analogy of it's one player committing and the other one just kind of parking it right wherever they stand, I'm seeing it on repeat right now. We're having one of the 2 players from JWoo get to the ball, and rather than what we just saw to UMass where they turn off as the second man, they just kind of stay there as if they're, they're the bodyguard for this presence here. They're going to make you intimidated. It's not working, though. UMass have hit the gym, and they think they're bigger than your bodyguard right now. They think they can take him down, and they might just be able to do so. 90 seconds left here, and UMass do have the lead, and as well as they've got a lot of offensive pressure. Wi-Fi will relieve that with a banger into the half, but again, they need more than a banger right now. They need to find a counterattack and find themselves a way to respond because UMass are looking in control of game number 5.
Nora, having a lot of boost and committing all the way down the other end, and a miss from UMass. That is going to send Discord into a pivotal position where he has to show up, he has to step up, but actually, Norbeast, he's got legs on him, lengthy ones as well, so race back in time. JWoo yet again, well, the double park happening. Stoops are running in front and then almost preventing his teammate clearing the ball away. They still do manage to, but they've got 50 seconds to try and pull this one back.
Oh my gosh, they're pulling my hairs out. Forget pulling this one back. Right now, they're making this as stressful as possible. JWoo are sending the house every time. Another double commit on the backboard means they're not going to be able to transition into a counterattack nearly as efficiently. And that's the big issue right now. It's not necessarily that their double commits are going to leave them exposed as much as double commits are going to stifle any sort of momentum that they are trying to build right now. Pressure has to be sustained. The only way you make a balloon pop is by continually pumping it full of pressure, not relieving the pressure every other pump. That doesn't work. So 15 seconds to go. They've got a shot. It's off target, but what about the follow-up? It is never found. 10 seconds. One last chance for JWoo to just send us to an overtime. Oh my word, but they've got to prevent themselves going down inevitably. But guess what's going to end them? A double commit, and they can't get to it. UMass White upset the undefeated JWoo and give them their first loss of the season.
A roar was heard from the UMass side. That is a brilliant played series by them to eke it out in game number 5, to have ice in the veins and allow those double commits to be happening, because they did not allow a comfortable rotation for JWoo at any moment there, making sure that they were almost not necessarily forced into a double commit, but it was very reasonable that you would double commit there because it's so scary, the pressure that UMass was amassing.
That's a big thing there, is that it really did feel like UMass never really had that. They never backed down. It's the only way I can really put it, is that as much as we were waiting for them to start to get a little bit more passive, get a little bit more defensive, to not necessarily challenge Johnson and Wales as aggressively and really match them in just overall aggression, they didn't. Every single step of the way, UMass made the adaptations, were able to step up to the level that Johnson & Wales was putting them at, and honestly, they did it even better than them at many different times throughout this series. So hats off to them. Amherst have found themselves the upset here and taken the first win away from JWU Yellow, which means these teams are going to have a rivalry going into the playoffs. JWU is absolutely going to want that one back.
Ooh, the confidence that's going to be surging through UMass, it must be great for them. And, well, for JWU, it's not necessarily that big of a problem. We can make a big deal out of it that they might be slumping coming into the playoffs. They've got something to talk about, sure. They've got things to change around in the playoffs. But overall, unfortunate day for them.
Yeah, unfortunate day for them. But the good thing, not an unfortunate day for you folks at home, because we're not done with the action. We're actually going to step it up just a little bit here and go all the way to our Champions Division, as we have got the Durham Lords versus West Virginia University here in our Champions Yellow Division. It's going to be an interesting one, but it's also going to be one we see when we get back from this break. Quick little break, but when we return, our final game of the day here on the B Stream. You are not going to want to miss it. Stay tuned. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the NECC Rocket League Week number 7. Once again on the B stream here. My name is Baslin Pass, and joined alongside for the final time tonight, my main man, Hyferia. And Hyfe, we are getting into that final match, like we just said. It is going to be the Durham Lords versus West Virginia University here. And this is not necessarily going to be as, I'll call it, even of a battle as some of the other games that we've seen here tonight. We saw an upset from an undefeated against an undefeated team. We saw two teams 4-2 battle it out all the way to game number 4. Here in this one, I'm hoping we get a game number 4 because the Durham Lords come into this one 1-5 versus West Virginia, who are 5-1. So, not to say that I think Durham are having, the worst season ever. They've had a lot of these losses go to back and forth. It's just going to be a bit difficult. West Virginia are not slouches by any stretch of the imagination, and I don't think they're going to want to end their season on a loss.
Absolutely no, and well, Durham, they're not even playing with their main lineup, which could be the biggest problem here. We could be looking at a ruffle stump here, but it could be being the key word in that sentence. It does not necessarily mean that it's going to be a straight up fact, and maybe even the substitute coming in changes something up for West Virginia that throws them off kilter, and if they can't really focus up anymore, it's just all speculation. But coming into this on paper, it should almost be a sweep.
It theoretically should be. It is one of these things where there are a lot of, there are a lot of theoreticals. There's not really much else to say besides what could be, what should be, what may happen at this point here. And what may happen is that we see Durham go out guns blazing. This is their final stretch. At this point, I don't think Durham can make playoffs. At 1-5, their chances are rather low here. Even if they are a solid team, their ability to actually get it to playoffs at this point and turn around their season is nil-none. So, at this point, West Virginia, they are here to just finish out their season. Durham, you are here to play upset. So let's see, can you get it done? Game number 1 underway here in this best of 5. And like we said, Durham just looking to make a little bit of history here to end off their season.
That's an aggressive jump in all the get-go. Bennels won't be able to turn this in as when Foles actually fakes it out and then allows the shot to be going through. This start opening phase is showing very well for Durham. It's only the start and the first 20 seconds. There's still plenty left to be played. Rots up to the backboard of West Virginia. They're starting their crawl towards the attack now, but they're getting shut out, and I feel like already that West Virginia are feeling a bit too frisky at times.
A little bit too frisky right now. It does feel a little bit odd. I don't know what Fouls is doing in the corner there with Magic. They somehow walk away unscathed, but 45 seconds into this one, it's been a rather tumultuous back and forth here as both teams are just kind of trading blows. Maybe Falls can do something more than just that. He'll pitch at center. Where's the follow-up? Eventually, Rots will be there, but denied by Wildfire. But that's the player to watch here. If anybody on this map is going to have your attention, it is going to be Fouls. He's a very strong player who I think is going to display that today more than ever.
Not to forget, on the side of West Virginia, the Fouls is going to be ridiculous. And, well, as we say that, is that the play? Rots trying to shut down the advance from Durham. It's going to be tough, though. West Virginia, they're incredibly jumpy right now as to try and maintain Durham in their defensive end. Falls trying to recover. Maybe a flip reset inbound, but not going to be happening. Rots just takes it over the top cleanly. Double tap. Just spikes it down, but the defense had it red.
I think we're starting to see this is going to be a different game than some of our previous series here. I think goals will be a bit more far and few between. But if they keep making mistakes like that, Durham may not be able to hold on to the 0-0 scoreline for that much longer. Pressed into their own half. The pressure is on. Rots wants a double touch off the backboard. And Fluffy, he will take that one away. Sends it to the ceiling, but how far can they send it? Not out of their half, that is for sure. And Bennels in a very awkward position. You can see West Virginia, they're not necessarily jumping on the ball to try and keep this aggression up. They're just waiting for their opportunity. That could have been an opportunity for Durham right there, but turned away. The half volley sends it all the way down court. West Virginia go right back onto attack.
Bennels having the boost to recover. Actually, not very much did, but just didn't utilize it. Val's going down the right flank. That's undefended, and he will convert. But West Virginia, they finally managed to strike and actually hit as well.
It took a little while for them to find this opening goal, but it was almost inevitable. They were putting on so much pressure against the Durham defense, which was making minuscule errors here and there. And eventually, something's going to give, and, well, something did give. Durham find themselves down 0-1 here with just about half the game remaining, and as much as I do believe that Durham can turn this one around, they've got to be careful. The double commits here and there are leaving them incredibly exposed, and West Virginia are doing the most with every single opportunity. They could do something here. Fouls fakes out the defense to buy a little bit of time for his team to get back, and indeed, they will have to retreat for now.
West Virginia, they haven't really been in defense. They are playing a very consistent, a very solid game here. But Durham, once they do get an opportunity and they use it effectively, this is still a ball game. Ben Olds taking it to the skies and taking it slow in West Virginia. I feel like we're out of position. I feel like they're Durham. They could have actually upped the pace and thus it could have broken the crack. But well, they are still in possession of the ball.
They still are in possession right now, and that's kind of the big thing for West Virginia here. They're just kind of trying to hold on to this and not allow the possession to go so far in favor of Durham that they catch them off guard here. It's been a very prepared game. Nothing really catching either team by surprise, so what's going to be the difference maker? Is it going to be that singular goal from West Virginia, or are we going to see a response from one of the two sides? Rots could find a response right here, but no follow-up touch will arrive. And West Virginia, they'll go right back to their patient play. I really do like this, Hyferia. They're not forcing a goal. They're just making sure that they waste as much time as possible and are waiting for a perfect opportunity.
A perfect opportunity might not be at the hand of a flip reset. West Virginia, they have some simple shots lined up and then they decide to add some intricacy. That's really not necessary, and especially with only one goal up, you just want to make that safety net. They're going onto the attack right now with a double commit. West Virginia playing way too confident for my liking. Durham, they're still holding steady for now, but it's still into the final minute with them 1-0 down.
That's a big issue here is, like you said, you can play confident like this. It's not a bad idea, but when you're only up by a single goal, that confidence could come back to bite you, and Foul's putting this off target, could come back to bite him, but Magic, he will help him out. Second goal for West Virginia, and that might just secure them game number 1.
Oh, that was wide open as well. Oh, that would have been an oof if I've ever seen one. Had that not actually been recovered by Magic, doing his teammate a favor there and his entire team in general as well, but I'd say Fouls is incredibly happy with that, more so than the entirety of his team. One of those ones that you just shake off and you move on from. But Durham caught out of position yet again. It's West Virginia moving on to the attack slowly but surely. The afterburners are getting fire in. Never mind, Magic just straight up missed.
I don't understand that touch out of the corner out of Fouls. He turned that into an offense from what clearly should have been a counterattack out of Durham. And speaking of counterattacks out of Durham, a wide open opportunity there, and no one's able to jump on it. Wildfire a little bit too passive on the backside here, but you can understand why. At this point, I think Durham are taking into account the fact that game number 1 has not gone their way, so they don't want to allow West Virginia extra momentum as we exit out of game 1 here. They find a goal for the road. This will not only instill further confidence in West Virginia, but it will really be detrimental to Durham and their mental to stay in this one. But they will stay in it no matter what. West Virginia find game number 1 in shutout fashion.
It was a very measured approach. There were times, odysseys, but sure. Okay, overall, it was still a very solid game of Rocket League played by West Virginia. Nothing extraordinary that we could have expected from them coming into this, but Durham, they do need to exploit that extra intricacy that they're trying to add on the side of West Virginia, because they're using a lot of boost in the process, and there's an avenue there to explore.
It's absolutely. And I think at this point here, that's what West Virginia need to try and sort of fight against, if you will. Durham looked like they were making adaptations. They were starting to get back into this one. So if Durham want to try and hold this series and really take control, they need to make sure that Durham don't start finding confidence, start finding momentum in their favor, and really just make sure to shut down Durham before they really start to find themselves some confidence and pressure against them. So West Virginia, you looked good in game number 1. You definitely looked in control, but I wouldn't say in control enough to say that Durham are out of this one. We still have a series on our hand, Hyferia, and it's up to Durham now in game 2 to prove that so.
Well, we've seen it turn around in game number 2 already earlier today, and now it's up to Durham to facilitate that. But West Virginia, they're looking to start off hot, and well, Durham, they've been cooled down.
Oh no, that's not the bump that they were looking for here. Fluffy just gets taken out by his teammate Benold, sends him to the skies, and well, Rotsy will find a way through said skies and slam it home. Fouls and Rots to find the first goal here in West Virginia. Not even 10 seconds in, have the lead.
That's a hoops kickoff, right? We boost your teammate into the ball. Fortunately, they're not playing hoops, and it wasn't a kickoff, so overall, just a terrible idea. I don't necessarily think it was an idea by Durham, though. It's just something that so happens, and they're pre-jumping on the side of West Virginia. Yes, that's also in other news. I guess that's happening.
I don't really know what's happening right now. I appreciate that you can at least somewhat keep up with this ball game, because it's turned to chaos here as we're only 30 seconds into game 2, and Durham are taking it cross-court. Wildfire just apparently doesn't want to leave this ball alone. 4 touches unanswered, and Benold almost gets a goal from it. West Virginia, I don't blame them if they concede there. They're probably looking at this game the same way you and I are, which is, what is going on?
I think West Virginia feel a lot more comfortable.
What?
I'm not even gonna react to it anymore, mate. I'm straight face and...
What?
Oh my word. What is going on?
Yeah? Like, I don't really know what to say at this point here. This is just, yup. Okay, here we are. Game number 2 is devolved into absolute insanity on both ends. You know what? Let's hope it's just the first minute. From here on out, let's get a little bit of normalcy.
West Virginia right now feel for me the dude that went to the gym once and starts acting up all of a sudden, thinking he's a buff man, even though it is not the case. And you can't put 120 kilos on that barbell, mate. You can't do that just yet. You still have to do the basics first to make sure you get up to that level, because Durham, they're a fierce competitor. West Virginia, you haven't run away with this by any stretch of the imagination.
No, not at all. Maybe they can do something here. If Fouls can find a goal, which... No, they should have, but Magic, he oversteps his bounds. He gets too aggressive, waits for the drop down from Fouls, and rather than it popping out, it pops directly down. So, West Virginia with a huge opportunity to reestablish the lead in their favor, but just get too aggressive and too in the face of their opponents, leaving themselves unprepared for the follow-up. And speaking of unprepared for the follow-up, Wildfire, he catches them off guard. West Virginia not expecting this type of control, and Durham find their first lead of the ball game.
We are getting a masterclass from Virginia right now on how not to play Rocket League, because this is... And the reason I say that so bluntly, because I think they very much know, I know that they can do so much better and that it can be so much more cohesive than it is right now, because they're double committing, they're making weird plays that they usually wouldn't make in a regular match, and it just shows that they're exuding confidence, but a little bit too much, and they need to be toning it down, putting themselves in a bit of shackles, but they might just get... What was that, Durham? It's a goal. Pass. Bloody hell. Get me out.
I'm gonna just, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna mark down a third goal in favor of Durham, and I'm going to move on because I don't know what's going on. Rots, I've never seen someone defend the inside of the net in the corner. Usually they take the ceiling or they'll take the side wall. Both of them is a bold move, and West Virginia, you are bold right now. I will give you that. That is one thing you've got in your opponents. The way that you guys are approaching this offense is rather unique, because who goes for a pinch from the side wall? Fouls to put another one on the board.
Fouls, just in general, I feel like the question, who goes for this in this matchup, is very often answered by, well, a player on the pitch, apparently. It's been a crazy game. Incredibly chaotic. It screams game number 1 vibes. It's game number 2. West Virginia, they're putting themselves back in the match. Fouls going over the top, but Fluffs having a good read on where that ball was going, thus shuts it down. Magic now buys Lonesome in defense, needs to hold on, but actually takes a wide turn and then engages in the 50.
Engages in the 50 here, and speaking of 50-50s, West Virginia now starting to put on the pressure, winning each one of these and making Durham really play for this ball game here. 2:15 to go, and West Virginia are looking like they may have an avenue back on in, but Ben just barely able to touch that one and keep it away. What about the follow-up? No one touches it. Fouls comes high flying through the sky like a jet airliner, but cannot find connection. 2 minutes to go here, and as close as West Virginia are getting to this one, close is not going to be enough. They need to put these on target.
Close only counts in the game of Horseshoe, and, well, Rots flipper set to the backboard into the box yet again at West Virginia. They don't manage to convert. Magic still on the prowl, though, puts it back into the box. Wildfire with an alt touch is loose. He needs to recover it, nicely zigzagging down the line as pass in field. Ben Olds. It feels like an old man name. That was perhaps offensive, but...
Dude, honestly, I had this conversation the other day. Anything is an old man name if you're an old man and have that name. Like, honestly, that's just kind of the way that this goes here. You can try and associate names with whatever age you like, but I guarantee you, as much as there's a 20-year-old named Jake, there's also a dude who's 83 and named Jake as well. So, let's see. Can we find ourselves something new instead of something old here? Because the same old has been West Virginia finding themselves offensive pressure, but not being able to do anything with it. Meanwhile, Durham on the other end, I was going to say, their strikes have been lethal. That one off target, though, and for the first time all game, West Virginia have a breakaway. Falls, put the shot on, though!
He likes to break dance. He's just doing a dancing dog. I don't know. The path was getting paved for him as well. It's unfortunate, but yet again, in West Virginia, it feels like a opportunity gone begging for them that they very much could have just secured. I don't know what's going on. Be very blunt, be very frank with y'all, but they might just pull it back anyway with a double tap slicer. Magic be surfacing you today.
There we go. Magic, he's going to bail out his teammates in a big way. That touch out at midfield and the follow-up is going to be something special. It's going to be magical, if you will, here. Well, that Magic now has got to pull out something out of that hat again. 30 seconds to go in West Virginia. As much as they're in this one, they don't even want to give Durham a game. They want to clean sweep this and put a stamp to end their season.
Magic going down the other end, only 10 boosts remaining. Flux, Val's just waiting there. The disrespect by West Virginia eking through, and that might actually give them the victory. Not an own goal, please. Durham, they're still in trouble. Wildfire not able to recover in time, and West Virginia, after the most chaotic game, they've set the scene, and they are currently in a victorious position.
I gotta give credit here to West Virginia, and more specifically Fouls. He's realizing he doesn't have a hot hand after game number 1 where he was the scoring drive. In game number 2, he all of a sudden can't really hit his shots as much, so what does he do? He starts assisting. He picks up a playmaker here in this second game and makes sure to facilitate offense on offense, and, well, it might just be enough to get them the game as well. Durham, though, they do have some time. Rots might take that away, though. This is an awkward touch, and Rots, he finds the dagger and plunges it in game 2.
They pull the dagger out of their own body. Ridiculous match. There's nothing else to be said about it. And West Virginia, I hope at least that in game number 3, that's bound to be happening. They tone it down a tad. Yes, they were able to make the comeback, but looking at this match and looking at how much confidence they have, I don't think they want to waste time on this because they are so confident, flip resetting and everything they want. It's 2-0 for them.
It's 2-0, and it's 2-0 in spectacular fashion. Game number 1 was a shutout, 2-0. Game number 2 is a comeback beyond compare, where Durham were either up 3-1 or 3-0 at some time in that game. At minimum, they had a 2-goal lead and then lost by 2 goals. So the turnaround, to put it simply, is spectacular here. There's no real other word to use, although there is one word we might be using in a couple of seconds here. Losers for Durham College if they cannot win this one, and winners for West Virginia. It's cut and dry, but that's kind of where we're at here. And the other cut and dry thing to say is that you are backs against the wall now. If Durham College want to take this one and end their season in a really nice way, they need a reverse sweep versus West Virginia University.
I feel like losers has way too big of a negative connotation, Bass. I'd prefer to classify them as not winners. I'd do it that way.
Unwinners, if you will.
Unwinners, yes, exactly. Because realistically, I don't think anybody in this match will fully win, nor will we. I don't think that this is one of those matches that's going to go down in history as one of the greatest. But perhaps, currently it's been chaotic. Well, that could get ironed out, and then all of a sudden we move into a striking position.
We're going to have to find out here. We're just about ready for game number 3, and like we said, it is do or die for the Durham Lords here. If they want to try and survive, they need to take this game and then do it 3 more total. Or actually, no, 2 more, I guess, so 3 total instead. But Fouls, he's not going to make this easy. Drifts this one to the center, and it will not find a follow-up. Rods, for once, actually takes a second before diving, and they will not find an opening goal in favor of West Virginia.
Fun fact that I got reminded of due to the Durham Lords. Officially, I can call myself a lord as well.
Why is that?
I own a piece of land in Scotland. That makes me officially be able to classify myself as a lord. It's 1 square foot. It is there to protect nature, and I get to call myself a lord. Perfect trade-off.
That's cool. I think I have 1 square foot somewhere in Israel because they planted a tree in my name. So I guess we're both landowners in faraway places that don't really necessarily affect our lives on a daily basis here. Something that does affect our lives on a pretty daily basis is Rocket League, though. And I'll say, nothing has affected us in this game here. We're a minute gone, and it's been pretty set in standard so far.
Knight. Yeah, the substitute coming in as well for West Virginia. Knight arriving and trying to take down the Lords. I guess it would only be fitting, but oh my word, False almost getting the 50-50 to spike it down.
I gotta say, that is a bit fitting to bring in the Knight to take down the Lord here. A little bit of medieval roleplay, if you will. They're gonna LARP for this final game, but no one's gonna be able to find a glancing blow at this point here. 90 seconds into this one, neither team's been able to strike, and as much as Durham are getting the pressure here, no one's been able to put a real shot on target yet.
Oh, now is? Oh, no. I don't want to be correct in that regard. I would love for them to do a bit of LARP here. Knight approaching the Durham Lords, and I challenge now to a formal duel! And then they all of a sudden charge against each other. That would be brilliant. That would spice up the Rocket League in this match in general. Imagine jousting in Rocket League.
Bro, I guarantee you Lethamir's made a map like that. There's no way, no how that does not exist. Although, to be fair, jousting might be less painful than what we're seeing right now, because both teams are pretty much on a knife's edge, as it has barely been able to get kept out on repeat here. 2.5 minutes remaining. West Virginia are getting close to finding this opening goal, but at every turn, Durham are able to stomp them out and not allow them another shot. Maybe now Durham can actually find a shot of their own. Wildfire sends it to the ceiling, but where's the follow-up? Fluffy up pretty late, so fouls. He might be able to get this one center, and no one will be there center. Eventually, Wildfire will turn this one away, but yeah, this is a really weird back and forth right now. Very tentative, as neither team really wants to allow themselves to be overexposed.
And Bennels is going to overexpose himself to some scrutiny there after missing the play. Falls nicely staying put on the backboard, waiting for the play to be happening. And finally, that's what I like to see out of West Virginia. They've been winning every single game, but the double tap is going to be happening. Durham, they are still kept out, though. And every single avenue that they try is being shut down by West Virginia. And yet again, is Rusty clear it away and tries to set up a counter-attack.
Trying to set up a counterattack, trying to set up an attack whatsoever here, as both teams have come scarily close to finding that opening, but neither one of them has been able to drill it into the back of the net yet. He fouls. He can make me eat my words here. He's going to have a touch off the ceiling. What can he do with it? Nothing, apparently. He will miss the ball in the corner. And once again, West Virginia come close to finding that opening goal, but just can't quite get it yet. 100 seconds to go. They've got the time, but I'm thinking at this point, Hyferia, this is going to be a one-goal ball game. We might be on golden goal scenario.
I'd say that favors Durham. West Virginia, they've been very eloquent on the attacks and consistently putting them out there. And, well, Durham, they just need the one breakaway. Good demo there by Fluffs to at least release of some pressure into the attack. Rots with an infield pass. Fluffs with a clear away. Well, that should be a Durham. Finally going into the attack. But West Virginia, they're not necessarily getting any consistent shooting on target.
They're also double committing out of midfield there. If West Virginia do want to sustain some pressure on offense, they can't allow themselves to break rotations like this. I know part of it is the fact that they have brought in a sub, but look at that. Fouls and Rots going for the same ball out of midfield, and while Knight will be able to clear this one out, it's definitely not allowing them to transition nearly as efficiently as before. So Durham looking in more control in this game than they had in the previous two. That is absolutely certain, but can they take complete control, grab the wheel, and run this racetrack like no one's business? Only time will tell, and there isn't much time left. 30 seconds to go, and I think at this point we definitely are down to a golden goal scenario.
Oh, Falls missing out, and that golden goal might just be right here, right now. Durham, by the name of Wildfire, will force it through. You already said it. Keep an eye on this man, and well, they did not keep a close eye on him on the side of West Virginia. They let him through.
Oh my, that man, he is lighting the flame, or lighting the pitch of flame right now. That Wildfire name is living up to it. No, but immediate response. The super sub comes in and Knight ties us up. No.
You have a beautiful three-course there and the choke on the dessert. This is terrible right now for Durham. This is not anything close to what they would want. But it's still tied up. I guess they've got that going for it, but it sucks so much. If you put in a lot of effort, and then you can see directly thereafter on the kickoff, and they might even be worse with a 50-50 landing into the hands of Wildfire, but they're still on the prowl. And, well, I don't think West Virginia are going to be sitting down anytime soon.
Oh no, are they going to try to finish this here? This one's center. That's an open net. Just put the shot on. Wildfire, though, he will clutch this one out and take it to the corner. He might take this cross court. Benz has got a shot. Files is there to at least interrupt, and so will Knight. West Virginia, they saw this game getting out of hand, and they will put a stop to it, and they'll send us to overtime. Game 3, backs against the wall. Durham have to win this just to keep the series alive, and West Virginia, they'll do whatever it takes to not allow that to happen.
A 3-1, and Falls puts it 2 for forward, giving Bennels a chance. A very decent one as well, as he does manage to clear it away. Wildfire diving over the top, and Knight 50-50 with Bennels. So this is Durham under fire right now, and a miss like that needs to be cleared out by Wildfire. West Virginia, they are showing what they can do, though, and they're putting up so much pressure for Durham to be dealing with. For now, Durham are doing a very good job.
Oh, they've got to be so careful here. 30 seconds into overtime, and you can tell that Durham are holding on by a thread, just making sure to not allow these little touches to go too awry. Speaking of little touches, though, Fluffy will find one in front of the net. He bumps the last defender, and the series goes on.
The bump on Rots, he was too slow and falls too far out. That is greatly done. And well, West Virginia, if you only get one kickoff goal against Durham, you're still going to have a tough time. We go to game number 4.
There we go. Series on the line now, and Durham starting to show that they are not done yet. This is the fight we were hoping for, Hyferia. We said that this roster has the capabilities. The big issue for us was just the inconsistencies, the occasional double commits, the inability to hit the back of the net when the time counted. But this time it counted, and they did not miss the mark. They take game number 3, and now they keep us going here. We could see a game number 5, but it is up to Durham. They got to take game number 4 and keep the reverse sweep alive if they want a shot.
Rolls with 2 boosts. Has to settle for the 50-50. And Fluffy all the way down the other end, leaving it to Foles. But I don't necessarily like that Foles continuously tries to take it up to the air solo, getting that clip goal, because this hurting West Virginia. And the interesting fact about Foles is as well, that's got noted down, he likes to go out with friends. Well, then actually do something with your friends right now instead of trying to go solo every single time, because it's not necessarily helping them.
Yeah, it's not really helping them in any way, shape, or form right now. It feels like as much as Fowles does have the ability, he looks really strong, it's just leaving his team a little bit too exposed. A lot of the plays we saw before, as much as they were breakaway plays out of Fowles, they weren't overexposing and really risking the defense of his team. So I want to see them work as a team. I agree with you. Use your friends to your advantage. Having friends in high places is always a benefit. And, well, if you can have a couple of friends that meet you in the skies here rather than doing it solo, I think it's going to work out. Yeah, maybe they do have to be in the skies, because apparently when Rots is on the ground, it doesn't work out.
Oh, a shot. Yeah, okay, Bennels was there. I hold on my senses for a second as well, because I feel like the shot could have been better. Probably would have been better at night. Now with the shot again. Off to the backboard. Fluffy nicely has it covered, and a lone clear all the way over the top. False. We'll have a Wildfire do the job for him, but Wildfire, he's got to pit 50 it into the box yet again. West Virginia, they're struggling to break away, and then once they do finally get one, it's rather easily cleared away by Durham.
Yeah, it's really easily cleared away. It feels like West Virginia now are getting a little bit passive when it comes to these offenses because they're so scared of overplaying their hand. They have found that Durham have woken up, so West Virginia, can you send them back to sleep with a knockout blow, or are you going to keep this one awake and they're just going to sleepwalk right on top of you? 3 minutes to go here. Durham looking strong. And West Virginia, I hate to say it, but they don't seem to have much of an answer. They've gone back to the textbook 6 different times, and they have found the same answer here over and over again, which is lack thereof. They've got none.
Scribbled out by the previous owner. That's why you never buy second hand of Bennels. Flip reset, trying to do that second hand as well, but we saw firsthand that did not work out. Bennels, low boost, Wildfire trickling on top of the play. The West Virginia side, they're struggling to break through. His shot going top, pins and rolls. That's the plays where West Virginia have been looking for.
That is perfect placement beyond compare here. I appreciate that Fowles dives in. He recognizes the double commit, so he goes, get it off the backboard. Rots will be there. We can afford to send the house now because they just did the same. And Durham, you might have sent the house, but maybe you need to throw the baby in the bathwater as well. Maybe you've got an ace up your sleeve. Maybe you've got whatever analogy is going to be enough to give you the win because they need something right now, Hyferia. 2.5 minutes to go, and if Durham cannot turn this around, that's the end of this series.
Can we not throw the baby? I feel like the bathwater, sure, that's fine. You know, plenty of people have been selling that these days, but why throw the baby, mate?
That's the expression is that you've tried throwing the bathwater and accidentally you throw the baby with it. And the reality is here at this point that
You'd be
if
a
you end up
terrible
throwing
parent.
the baby with it, listen, you might be a terrible parent, but is it worth it if you win? I argue yes, so that's all I'm saying.
Bass throwing babies for the dub. You have to pass an exam. Did you go, like, what'd you do? Just...
I studied. I didn't actually throw a baby, mainly due to the fact that I'm not a parent. So there could be that factor as well. You kind of need a baby in order to throw the baby in the first place.
Yeah, okay, but it doesn't necessarily say in the rules that it has to be your baby, right?
Are you going to break into an orphanage and just start chucking babies, Hyferia? What's happening here? Is this some sort of plan that I don't know about?
Hey, you brought up throwing the baby. I didn't, so I'm just bringing up. I'd rather throw the sink.
You know what? I'd rather not have anybody throw here right now. And to be honest, I don't think Durham are throwing. They're unfortunately just facing West Virginia, which is finally starting to find some offensive momentum. 70 seconds to go, and West Virginia have held on to this lead for quite some time. And Fowles is trying to increase it further. Rots with a double touch off the backboard will set up his teammate, but is anyone going to be there? No such luck. A minute to play, and as much as Durham are holding on right now, and they need to do more than hold on, they need a response to this West Virginia offense. And is that going to be it?
No!
It goes in from midfield. Wildfire finds the equalizer.
Oh my word! How has this happened? Fouls! It's an own goal. Oh, everything going wrong here. Not even for West Virginia, also for Durham. They will very much take it, of course. You're not going to look a gifted horse into the mouth, but it does not come pretty. Well, you're going to accept it, move on, because with 50 seconds left, it was much needed.
Ooh, and they might actually be able to find themselves at least a response here to West Virginia. An offense building, and Fouls not quite able to find a follow-up touch, but at least Knight will be there to boom it into the half. Wildfire's got time and space up air. Someone's got to dispossess him. We've seen this before. If you give Wildfire time and space in the air, they're going to do something special. It's how they found the first goal of this game, and it's how they might be able to find another. Can either team find another? 20 seconds is going. Once again, Wildfire time and space in the air will boom it to the backboard, and now West Virginia have got to play a little bit of defense as we go to the final 15 of game number 4.
Overtime is abound, or at least so you might think, but there have been crazier things happening in this particular series than a clear over the top. That's not out of the woods just yet. Bennels, he's trying to make it tricky waters for West Virginia. They're rocking the boat, but the mutiny not quite happening as Durham. They stay in control of the ship. Rots all the way down the other end, actually trying to dispossess the control of the wheel. West Virginia, this ball's still up in the air, but the pinch clear. Should have it land on the ground. Rot's not going to tempt fate to keep it up, and we go to overtime yet again.
Overtime, game number 4, our second one in a row. Our second one at 1-1 as well. We said this at the beginning of the series that this was probably going to be a little bit less of a high-scoring affair. Game number 2 tried to prove us wrong, but games 3 and 4 have all but confirmed that. Now, the question is can West Virginia confirm this series in their favor? They've got a decent amount of offense right now, and they've got Wildfire on the ropes in the corner. Knight trying to set up his teammate. Rots may be able to get another touch here. He wants to read it off the backboard, but cannot. Interruption in the way, but maybe Fouls can find the follow-up. Wildfire to turn it away, but West Virginia are not letting Durham out of this half, barely even letting them out of this final third.
But this could also spell trouble for West Virginia if they push up too closely, something they've been known to do as well, especially Fouls here, using 40 boost for a net profit of absolutely nothing in West Virginia. And right back in defense, Bennell's going in to take a wide turn, leaving it to Fluffy and centering himself up. Rods should be able to get the clear here indeed, but Knight is already into the Durham attack, trying to bump it up. No hits found though in West Virginia. They struggle to keep this ball into the midfield. Good pace there to extend the attack with Wildfire. He still makes the defense clear.
Makes the defense clear, but only for a second, and doesn't get it off the side. West Virginia right back to this pincer maneuver where they just continually put the pressure until eventually you will crack, but the shots need to be on target. A double commit from Durham left their goal wide open, but Fouls put the shot barely wide. West Virginia saw a chance to close this game out, but instead now they need to play some defense on the other end. 90 seconds into this overtime, and we could have been over if it weren't for the shots being barely off target.
If it weren't for those meddling kids, this game would be over indeed, but oh my word, they're meddling in something there. I'm not too sure what happened on the backboard, but, well, West Virginia, they will set sails to the backboard. Bennels with a phenomenal read to clear that away. Knight still into the corner. Wildfire looks tough for him, so he lets Bennels take over. Fouls with a shot now going wide.
How long can they hold on, though? Durham have been here on their back heels, digging them in so far that they have made a pit behind them. But can they survive? Another attempted shot, and Fouls is denied by the defense. Rods puts it center. Wildfire clears it out, but cannot get past the half yet again. Another shot on. A good pinch will actually alleviate almost all the pressure that West Virginia have been building up. But at least Rods can find a follow-up touch and send it back into the side. 2.5 minutes played here in overtime, and as much as Durham are holding on, they are only doing that. They need a response. Otherwise, this game could be over, but not if the shots go off target. West Virginia with another chance to close it out. How about here? But Durham still continue to turn away every single opportunity.
Durham, they reply to West Virginia plenty all the time. Throwing the angry letter in the middle. Perhaps this is time to send an angry one back. Wildfire breaking through the cracks. Fouls. That's an easy clear away, though, in West Virginia. They do manage to keep that defensive composure intact. Fluffy, this could be very awkward for him. 50 going into the box for West Virginia. They don't want to commit too heavily, and then they all of a sudden double commit. Falls having to backtrack all the way down the pitch, finally being able to get involved. 69 moves, very nice. Able to set up the play. Wildfire again. Bump Fouls with a flip reset. That's the finisher.
And there it is. Fouls was going for something high flying, the showstopper all day long. And that will stop us all together, because that will be the win for West Virginia University. They take it in 3-1 fashion. They take it in over 3 minutes of overtime, but they do it nonetheless and move on to 6-1 on the season.
6-1. But did they really look like a team that is 6-1? Absolutely not. They looked very uncomfortable at times and also very cocky. I think that's the main part. They were feeling confident and a bit too comfortable.
That was a big issue for them, is that they started to get a little bit overzealous with some of their challenges, leaving themselves exposed. And that, in my opinion, is why they lost game number 3. But the good thing is that game number 4, yeah, they changed that. Once they got to overtime, they went, we are no longer letting them pass midfield. We are not sending the house every time. We are making sure that we keep this pressure up until eventually something cracks. And unfortunately, they were split asunder here. Durham College will go down and fall to 1-6 on the season. West Virginia, they pick up some momentum as they head into playoffs here, because that's a big win for them. It's not a small team to be taken down. As much as the records may be back and forth, when you have that much resistance in game 3 but can turn it around in game 4, that says a lot about your team.
I think in general, we can say a lot about Durham as well. Positive things. I'm not going to all of a sudden start bashing them and start cracking them a new one. But I feel like Durham, they played a lot better than we came to expect from them, considering their 1-5 record. The main problem to me seemed that they were not able to efficiently break out of defense, and consistently as well. They struggled in that regard. Parking behind each other in a double commit just sent them into a tizzy.
That's a big issue, is that it did feel like the panic when it set in. They really didn't know how to dissipate it and try and recollect themselves. But the good thing for them is that the day is over. They don't have to focus on this right here, right now. They can take some time, maybe go through the VODs and try and track themselves and improve for next time that they play, because they will probably have some more chances here, but not this week. That is the end of the B-Stream broadcast here for the NECC. But the good thing is that it's not the end of Rocket League altogether. I'm going to send you guys over to the main stream, where they are going to be continuing through their games. I believe currently it is going to be Oof and Infernosis in their, I think, 4th match of the day. You're gonna have to find out. We're gonna send you guys over there, and we will see you next time. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. Have a great rest of your night.